What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Blue Drew 97 here to do a two-parter for ya, a twofer for My Hero Academia manga chapter 250 and 251, titled "Ending and 1 Week Later." Or 1 week to be specific. And yes, this is going to be a two-part review. We're going to have 2 reviews in one video. Yeah, it's not like I had this planned or anything, or I just forgot to do a video last week for My Hero. But that's besides the point. In actuality, it's actually really great that I didn't do the video last week because these 2 chapters tie together so perfectly, where we get the beginning of the first part of this story for this section starts at the beginning of chapter 250 and it immediately gets resolved at the end of 251. So it basically all ties together. So it's just gonna be one long time review of basically what happens, and it's all really consistent with each other. So it's just a good thing for me and just makes it a little bit easier for me as well. This may be a fairly long video though, but that's not gonna be a problem. But anyway, first of all, let's start off with the first part of 250 where we get introduced to a new villain. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. The name of the villain is Ending. Wow, that's it's the name of the chapter. Go figure. But yes, we get the villain Ending, and we get a pretty, not a full in-depth backstory on him, but we get a general idea of what he is or what he's about to do. And we have him, and I'm gonna say this in the creepiest voice ever because he just looks like the villain that has tooth coming out of his face. He looks just like him, Fish something, whatever his name is. But he comes in and he has a monologue. He's like, yes, it's been a while since I've been freed from prison endeavor. I realized when I saw you that you could help fulfill my wish. I got released from jail, and the first thing I did wasn't eat, wasn't drink, wasn't even sleep, but to go to your home to fulfill my wish, because I know that you're the only one that can help me. So yeah, he gets out of prison and just stalks Endeavor's home. Finds out where Endeavor lives and kidnaps Natsu. So yeah, as soon as Natsu leaves the house, he immediately gets captured. And a little thing that I noticed is that I think he stabs his neck with a boosting drug, which makes him even more dangerous, which makes something, what we're going to talk about later on in the next chapter, even more impressive if his quirk was boosted. So yeah, he's crazy. And he wants Endeavor to do something for him. Now, what does he want Endeavor to do? He wants Endeavor to kill him. That's basically it. Towards the end of chapter 250, he basically goes into the exposition of I want you to kill me. Like how you killed those Nomu. Which, if anything, skipping a little bit ahead, Endeavor has a death toll. He has killed people. Now, even though, yes, they are Nomus, they were still technically people, and he has still technically taken lives. Now, the real question is, how many lives has he taken? At the very least 2. He's taken the life of one of the Nomu when he just incinerated that Nomu's head that one time. And the second one, which was the advanced Nomu with the multiple quirks, he killed that one and turned that one to ash. So at the very least, he has killed 2 Nomus. But at least the media knows about one, and that's how Ending knew, oh, Endeavor, he probably killed me and fulfill my wish. So I'm gonna kidnap his son. So yeah, it's real weird. But even before that, we get a lot of we get why even Natsu is even involved in why he's so mad. It's from Fuyumi and Shoto, where Natsu blames Endeavor for Toya's death. Because we learned last chapter, in chapter 249, that Toya's most likely dead. It's Tommy. Oh gosh, that was a bad call. But yeah, Toya is dead. But Natsu blames Endeavor for it. And when you really think about it, it's not that big of a surprise. He probably did have a play in how Toya died. But yeah, so that's why Natsu's mad, and even though everyone has forgiven him, Endeavor, or is in the process of forgiving Endeavor, Natsu's the only one who's steadfast. That's why he was acting the way that he did. So that's just like a little bit of like building on like why Natsu is doing what he is, and it is justified for why he's doing it. But and then after that, we see Endeavor. He leaves with the children. Fuyumi thanks Deku for being Shoto's friend, where Midoriya obviously like, it's a pleasure, and then they just leave. And while they're leaving, they basically we get a little bit more confirmation. Is like Endeavor's like, oh yeah, y'all kids are gonna be working for me for a while, like in the same vein of like what Kaminari does, Furoki and Ochako, like how they did the internships during the Precepts arc, how they were doing it during the week. That's basically what they're going to be doing. Shoto, Deku, and Bakugo, they're all going to be working with Endeavor. He said on the weekends and at least 2 times a week during the week, and they're all talking about, oh, well, yeah, this is going to be cool. It's just like our other classmates. And it's like, and then you see Bakugo just having his head out the window, and a small text is like, good boys and girls, do not hang their heads out the windows. And then we get to meet the car driver, which makes sense in like Japan, where they have like, it's not just like the higher up people that have like people drive them, but it makes sense that Shoto is like not Shoto, Endeavor's number one hero, that he'll have his own driver. But the driver is like acting so weird and crazy, so like literally like any of Endeavor's people. But then all of a sudden, Ending comes in and like wraps around the car, and it's like in the street, causes them to swerve off, captures the car. Endeavor immediately goes to action to try and get to an Ending, and he notices that Natsu is like captured, and this is where we get the exposition of Ending saying, "Kill me, Endeavor! I know you can. I know you can kill me. I have nothing else to live for. You're the only one who can put me out of my misery." Yeah, he's a creepy dude, extremely creepy. And he has a hostage too, so that just makes the situation that much worse. But yeah, but that's pretty much chapter 250. And going into chapter 251, we basically see like Endeavor facing down Ending, and Ending basically going on the same film of, you can kill me like you killed us. Come on, I'm waiting for my death. And like, because he's doing all of this, like he's like crazy, and like Endeavor's questioning whether or not he should like kill him because he's about to kill his son. But all of a sudden, Bakugo bursts out of the car. Big explosion. The car gets completely like taped up, or it's bandages. It's from apparently Ending quirk. It's like he's able to control cloth or produce cloth from his body and like make it like almost like Aizawa's his weapon. Aizawa's weapon, like the cloth that he uses, is kind of like that and how it's used, but it may be produced from his own body, or something to that idea. But Baku just bursts out of the door, as well as like you see Shoto and Deku like coming in, and you see Ending and Endeavor. They're looking like, what? And then this is also kind of like the twist of how the driver was like criticizing the kids, but as soon as like they become heroic, he just helps with the support and launches like their hero costumes, where I will say this is some amazing teamwork from all 3 of them. We see Deku get his first, but he realizes that the other 2 are in front of him, so he kicks or like pushes their shoots toward them, and they just do bare minimum. Like Bakugo gets his gauntlet, Shoto gets his like little guard things, which may have a purpose with his power, and Deku gets his gloves that have Air Force. He used Air Force for, and Shoto just comes in and he's like about to save Natsu, and like Ending is like, oh God, Endeavor, I'm waiting, come at me. And Endeavor's like, oh wow, he's off balance now. I can take him out right now. I can take him out right now with my son. Oh. And then he doesn't move forward. He hesitates. And like, in that moment of hesitation, and it makes sense because like he's trying to be a changed person, but like he still cares for his children in this moment. So he's like, if I act now, I'm probably gonna put my son in danger. So he hesitates. But in that moment of hesitation, Bakugo, Shoto, Deku, they rush in, And like, as I said, this dude is like, come on, it's finally time for me to die. Take my life, Endeavor. And then attack Shoto, try to wrap him up. And basically what this chapter is, 251, it's showing like the fruits of their labors. Because we see Shoto in this moment, he remembers like a quote from his father Endeavor, where it's like, builder power at a single point and release, and releases just like this big like fire ice like type of attack, which like basically either destroys or reflects the tape and like allows him to like burst through at like blitzing speeds. And then ending is like, hurry up, kill me, because if you don't, the death toll will rise. And so he starts flipping cars and putting Natsu in front of a car to be run over. And he's like, just go on, it's gonna keep on rising. And then here's where we get Bakugo's upgrade, when he's like condensed the power, and he just in a swift moment, it's like an immediate explosion like comes out and jettisons him forward extremely quickly, to the point in which like as soon as like he hits the car, like if this is the car, his foot hits it, and then he basically kind of pushes off it, catches Natsu, and all of this is like basically within an instant, and he declares that the death toll ain't going anywhere. And then all of a sudden Deku, showing his growth as well, puts his fist downward like this, pointing towards the ground, activates Air Force, meaning that he's able to, and how it's implied, instinctively activate 20% without thinking about it, going to the point is like, it's like learning something one at a time, like making sure like you're able to do two things subconsciously, and then keep on building that one step at a time. And Endeavor's just looking at all this, and he's like, in 1 week? No. In 1 week? And as soon as he does that, Deku uses Black Whip, and it's amazing, because he catches all 3 of the cars at once. He's able to hold them up. There's like multiple Black Whips holding them up. He sets them down, and like he declares that we will not make your wish come true. And basically Endeavor comes to the conclusion like in this 1 week they've grown so much, to a point in which like they've actually surpassed Endeavor. I mean, sure, Endeavor did hesitate, but like each one of them like took on an activity that maybe Endeavor would have taken like 3 steps or 4 steps to do. They all did it in one. And while Deku like puts the cars down, we see Shoto go for the finishing blow on ending. You know, sorry for the pun, ending him. Hey, yeah, ending goes down, most likely than not. Ending goes down, and the last panel, we see Endeavor, and this is probably a funny part, and it's also a little bit heart-wrenching. He's holding Natsu, as well as Bakugo. Bakugo has this look up like, let go of me, old man. And Natsu, we're not sure how he's feeling, but like, we see a close-up of Endeavor's eye, and it's like, and then there's a small, like, a life saved by growth. He realizes that he almost lost another son. And like, that's like what it's portrayed, that like, it's not happiness, it's not joy, it's like utter like like it's happiness through sadness, and realizing that he almost lost his son and he was unable to do something about it. And it's just another layer of Endeavor's growth in this chapter. And when it comes to these 2 chapters, I think separately, these chapters for 250 and 251 respectively may get a 4 and a 4.5 respectively, which means that they're good like separately, but I think together would make both of these chapters a 5 because of how related each point in each chapter is related to the next, as well as the prior. And even if you want to add like 149 like into it as well, like just these 2 together tie in so perfectly, to the point at which like it brings them both up from like that 4 and that 4.5 both to a 5 out of 5 chapter, because we get a good introduction, a great introduction to a villain, which if anything, what this does is like implies more that, oh yeah, heroes don't kill villains. So what Endeavor did when he killed that Nomu was like, last resort, no other way of doing this. He took a life. And that's something that heroes don't do, which may explain like why people may see him as a #1 hero, but why villainy still rides, because people aren't really like as afraid of him as they are of Endeavor. Aren't afraid of, basically it's like Endeavor is just a different type of hero. Like All Might would never have taken a life, but he had the strength to like not need to. So it builds up in like another aspect of society. Also like how villains, like if you're like, and this is, if you are feeling suicidal by any chance, get help. Always make sure that you have the mental health and that you're able to get to someone and talk to them about it. But this shows a perspective of My Hero where if you do want to do something badly to yourself, that the best way to do is just to be the utmost like horrible thing that you can do with your quirk and force the heroes to kill you. Or like do something so heinous that they have no other choice but to kill you. So if anything, this shows like another perspective of society of how, because of this hero society, we get people who are depressed, who are suicidal with these powers, and they may want to die, but because of how society's built up, society wouldn't allow it. So they only have like these ways of being able to achieve what they really want, which in this case, ending is death. So it's just building on layers of what this society is, even like more building on like how like they have grown over the past week or so, and how like fast they were able to do. Like Deku not necessarily mastered a quirk, but was able to use Black Whip effectively within the span of like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Because we knew that it was in like before winter break when they had that exam, and like winter break for them is like 1 or 2 weeks. So in like 1 or 2 weeks, he has basically like went from, oh, I now know I have a second quirk that I need to master, up, now I know how to use it effectively. As well as with Bakugo and Shota, how they're able to get this idea and like in a week, like condense their power and release it at once, and like condense the power. It just shows like how they will become great heroes in the future. And Endeavor finally sees this like, oh my gosh, these kids at this age did something that I couldn't do. Even if I was under a lot of pressure, these kids can actually save the day, and I think that's really cool. So like I said, overall, very good chapter. Works best as a 251 and 252 together. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will be able to catch y'all in the next video. Goodbye!